I've always been an analytical and insightful guy, and I recently turned 18. And with turning 18, I realized many things once I started to reflect. Many changes that turning 18 can bring to your life, positive ones, negative ones, because 18 is a pretty important age, let's say internationally. It's pretty celebrated, talked upon, both for males and females. For males, in some ways different to females, but nonetheless, it's still pretty important and pretty strong in many ways. And that's what I'm going to be diving into in this video. So like I just said, turning 18 can have negative things and bad things. But the main thing with turning 18, which is the common thing between the bad things and the good things, is that it unlocks so many things for you. Think of it as a video game, right? You're progressing level through level, right? Let's say there are two levels. You got your basic level and then your advanced level. Before you turn 18, once you're a minor, right? You're obviously in different age stages, right? Child, right? Adolescent, teenager, okay? But you're still in that stage. However, once you unlock the next level, which is the last level, it brings so many changes to your life, right? You unlock so many new things that you can do, right? And good things and negative things. And that's why turning 18 is very celebrated upon, very talked about, right? Very significant, has great significance in someone's life. Because with that come many things. Now, what are the bad things? I don't see them as good things because I don't really see them as productive, but you have unlocked the power to buy things such as alcohol, cigarettes. You can go to places like strip clubs, bars, just clubs, right? You choose what you want to do with your life. You should be responsible. You should have been responsible way before you turned 18, but turning 18 gives you the chance to do many of these things in many different countries or states or wherever you're in. But these are not exactly positive things. These are not exactly things that bring you value. However, you unlock positive things as well. Things with finances, with banks, investing, opening accounts. You can also dive into many responsibilities, which I'm going to cover in my next point. So you see, turning 18 has a great significance in both positive and negative ways. You unlock things that are beneficial and things that aren't really beneficial once you turn 18, like I said, good things, bad things. And I advise you to focus more on the good things. That's what I'm doing, what I'm going to be doing, what I'm going to keep doing. Focus on the good things. Learn about finances. Get someone that you can trust. Look it up in, let's say, a well-known place on the internet. I mean, pretty much the internet is a pretty amazing place to learn things. Sure, many things it's a lot better to learn them in person, right, with someone, another human. But you can learn pretty much everything in the internet nowadays. So you need to enrich yourself in many things regarding finances. Also, with things such as responsibilities, right? Positive things. They can be positive, but they can be negative if you don't really watch out what you're doing. So, with things like responsibilities, I mean renting a property, leasing a property, paying for expenses, right? You can now sign contracts. You can do many things that you couldn't do once you were a minor. It's crazy, right? A day before, you couldn't do them, but now you can, right? And these can be good things. These can definitely benefit you, but they can also really affect you in a negative way if you're not responsible for what you're doing, if you don't know what you're doing. So my best advice for this is if you want to take advantage of this, enrich yourself. You obviously don't stop, right? Let's say once you start investing, you got to keep on learning and learning. What do I invest in next? How much do I put in? You got to analyze things, right? How things are going up and down, etc., right? You got to be analytical and you got to always be learning. But with responsibilities and things like this, if you're not responsible, if you don't really know what you're doing, you can face some pretty bad consequences. And that's my next point, that even if you're going to focus on the good things, there are always going to be consequences and negative things that can happen once you turn 18. Once you turn 18, you need to be very careful about everything in your life. Very careful. Especially if you're more focused on the negative things that are not really bringing you any value, right? Going out to drink, going out to party, those kinds of things. You got to be much more concerned with that. But even with the good things, I'm going to cover this real quick. If you don't know how to manage your finances, if you don't know what you're doing, and you choose to lease a property, you choose to sign some kind of contract, and you're not consistent with your payments, you can get screwed in many ways. You can have things like being sent to collection, right? You could even get sued in some cases. And when you're 18 and you're barely starting to build up your finances, that's what you don't want to deal with. You never want to deal with that. But once you turn 18, you don't want to deal with it, right? That's like training Muay Thai for 1 year and then going to actually fight a pro who's been training his whole life and who's really good. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, you'll learn something, but at the same time, you're fighting, you're not sparring, it's not a very good thing to do. So it's the same thing here, You got to be very careful, even with the good things, all right? You can face many responsibilities, you can face many consequences if you don't know what you're doing, but also, especially with the negative things, okay? Now, like I said, I live a straight edge lifestyle, no drinking, no smoking, no alcohol, right? Due to many reasons. I would advise you to do the same thing. If you don't want to do it, fine. You should be responsible for what you do. But I'm just going to tell you why it can also be very negative. When you're drinking alcohol, right, after a certain state or when you're doing drugs, you lose a certain amount of control over your body, over your mind, which can lead you to do negative things, bad things. But even if you don't indulge in these things, if you do find yourself in that environment, you can find yourself facing some very bad consequences if you do something bad or even if you don't. Because like I said, I analyze this a lot, right? And I'm not a problematic person. Especially if you know me, you know that I'm not a problematic person. But I have made my mistakes. I have had issues with people. And I really realized, if I was 18 when I made those mistakes, when I had those problems, things would have turned out very differently for me. I could have been sued. I could have even gone to, I don't know, jail, I guess, because not even juvenile detention anymore, right? And I could have faced some really serious consequences for some of my mistakes that I made. And you got to realize that once you turn 18, if you haven't managed yourself there, you got to cut that crap, okay? You got to stop with that behavior. You got to stop acting in some way because it's two that you need to be careful with. The law and your behavior. And these two go in hand. With how you behave, you can see what is going to happen with the law. If you're an immature person who likes to start problems, who likes to start issues with people you don't even know, which is the most dangerous thing, is that you don't know that person, that's obviously not something smart, right? And like I said, I'm not a problematic person, but I have had my issues. We all pretty much have issues in some way, right? But it's that you deal with them. That's the important thing. And that you deal with them early. And that you find responsibilities, right? That you find things that are going to make you a better person. That you're going to build yourself to become a better person and not be a problematic person, a person who's looking for issues. Because your behavior is obviously always going to change. You're always obviously going to have some kind of mood, right? And you're going to have traits that are more unique to you. You might get angry more easily. You might get this and that. But you really need to learn how to control yourself and you really need to learn how to behave. Because in many situations, you're going to encounter yourself with both places and people who, let's say, are not good for you. Are not good for you in a mental way, in your mental health. Or not even just that, but they're simply people who are jerks, right? Or they're either treating you in a bad way or you're seeing something bad happen or for whatever, right? But the point is, in your life, you're going to encounter these people. I've made good choices with these people and I've made bad choices. And the main thing here is to do the smart thing. Do what you're not going to really find yourself finding a consequence. Because trust me, if you go around behaving as an immature person, starting problems, looking for issues, it's not going to go well for you. It's not going to go well for you dealing with that person because you don't know who they are and dealing with the law. So you really need to be very careful. So that's really it for today's video. I just want to talk to you about some things that I realized that can happen once you turn 18. And now it's your turn, okay? Your turn. You need to realize that they're going to come positive things and they're going to come negative things. But it's how you manage yourself. It's how you see, how you pick the cards in your life. The choice is yours. You have a choice to make. You want to live your life being more immature and possibly finding yourself in those kinds of issues, or you want to better yourself. Because yes, you're always going to have some kind of issue in some way, but use turning 18 to your advantage. Enrich yourself in ways that you couldn't. Build yourself in ways that you couldn't. And always look to keep improving. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. And with that said, I'll see you soon.